Now we're going to have Christie Puerta. Her presentation is titled Our Experience at ASOCOPI 51st Annual Conference. Christie Puerta has been a 9th, 10th, and 11th grade teacher at Institución Educativa Navia Barón for near 16 years. She holds a teaching BA on Literature and Languages from Universidad Santiago de Cali, a postgraduate certificate in university teaching, also from Universidad Santiago de Cali, and she's currently pursuing a master's degree in education and diversity attention at Universidad de Ciencias Pedagógicas de Cuba. Thank you.
We have a wonderful experience and we want to share what we have learned there in terms of our practical practice and the way we can improve using ICT, okay? So welcome. This Congress was based on technology and the way we can relate those tools in our classrooms. The teacher who went there, you know, a wonderful picture here, Fabian, Cecilia, Chris, Elida, David, Luisa, Marta, Nancy, Nidia, and Sarah. Okay, ASOCOPI was founded by regular teachers who believe in the power of teaching. It means that as teachers, we can make the difference and we can make changes in our daily practice, you know, because as teachers, we have the opportunity to involve our students in our process in better conditions. The Congress was organized in different activities, plenaries, and workshops. At the beginning, we could attend general plenaries where a speaker explained what they have or he or she had found in her or his classes. The event answers the need of communication in English that looks to improve the students' English competences, taking into account the influence of ICT work on human beings since childhood until adulthood. Here we have the speakers, and they mainly spoke about their research, okay? We had speakers from Canada, Madrid, USA, Colombia, and Monterrey. As I told you, the event answers the demands of the program. It means that looking forward and look for the different activities and strategies we can get to improve our students' English competences, taking into account the influence of ICT in our classrooms. As we all know, teaching is a complex, multifaceted activity in which we have to apply or to develop or look for different strategies to get in touch with our students. And as Cecilia said at the beginning, tools could be a good way to get in touch with students because they know, they love tools, they know how to work with those tools and machines. And we could have that opportunity to get in touch with them because they like that, and that's the way, and as Cecilia said before, it's a tool in a way to work with them. And this activity often requires and asks for demand from us as instructions to juggle multiple tasks and goals simultaneously and flexibly. The research we have listened show that ICT can lead to improve student learning and better learning methods. Why? Because we can change the idea of curriculum, we can change the idea of traditional way of teaching. Example, as we were speaking in that experience, we said that we were taught in a really particular way, meaning traditional and those things. But now we have the opportunity to change those methods and approaches. This could be a challenge because we were taught in a way, but it's also a possibility in terms of the way we are teaching and in terms of the way we can understand our practice. That's why it says ICT can lead to improved student learning and better teaching methods. Okay, in this way, the language increases the possibilities of meaningful learning, which exposes and helps Colombian students appreciate the cultural diversity of the world. As we know, our students now are trying to understand their context, but from the context they come from. Example, as Cecilia said, air-conditioned schools are different from ours, or maybe from Elida's or Fabian's. So that's the best point, because we can adapt those strategies, those ICT tools to our each context, taking into account our students' needs, our student characteristics too, in terms of rhythm, types of intelligence, and those things. It's also very important because as a country, Colombia is a variety, diversity, meaning different areas, different groups, and in each city we also find people from the Pacific coast, from Bogota, from the Atlantic coast, even from Llanos Orientales. So we have a variety in each classroom. And taking into account this exposure, our students could improve, their self-skills in terms of the way they understand their context and the way they value our culture. And with English, they can open their mind and they can understand a different culture. In this way, important class research were shown in order to demonstrate that there are some new possibilities in teacher learning process. When we were there, we were saying that it's really important to know and to apply researches in our classrooms, because it's the way we can recognize our needs and how to improve our weakness and how to strengthen the way we are doing good things, our strengths, okay? And in this part, it's about technology. Technology is a tool for teaching. We were saying that ICT could be the way, okay? Because we can organize and we can take advantage of the tools. But it's not the aim, We're teachers, and that's why we're there, because we are in charge and we are leading that process. And machines are machines. So we have wonderful tools, wonderful activities there, but we are teachers and we are in charge of the process. In this way, pedagogical strategies agree with teacher learning process. As I told you, technology is the means, not the end. Pedagogy first and technology second. When we were there, we were taught that we can use different tools and we can do the best. So it could be difficult if we understand ICT as a hard work. But as Cecilia showed at the beginning, it's quite easy to deal with that, okay? And the purpose is how to improve, even with our students, with teachers too, taking into account the communicative competencies, which involve knowledge, skills, and attitudes. That's why it's very important to keep in mind that we are teachers, and the process is a human process, And in that way, we can relate knowledge, attitudes, but with an interchange, a social interchange. Okay, we could have meaningful experiences which were focused on the way we can adapt and we can vary in our classes. Example, our pedagogical practices. I want to share something because we were attending some workshops and I had the opportunity to share with a native speaker. She's an old woman and she was working for Open English. I think that it's a well-known institute here because it's on TV or something like that. And she was saying her experience in terms of ICT. And she said that at the very beginning she could work the first part, but when she had to use and to organize activity with those tools, she couldn't. And she was like very sad because she couldn't continue working there. And she was asking that, how can I, involve and how can I learn how to use ICT? And how can I insert myself, because she's like me, she's like old, and she was concerned because the tools are there, but she didn't know how to use them. And the speaker said that, okay, the tools are there, and it's just to try and let students to go in the same process, I don't know if she continued or not because she didn't say that, but I agree that if tools are there, we can work on the things we can do with students. And somehow they, as we say, they are natives, but they know how to do it easily and easier than us. So we can make a team with them. And in that case, they find that we can work with them and we can share knowledge and we can share learning with them, okay? So that's why we wanted to speak about pedagogical practices. In our school, in some schools, we have had some changes, but it's hard because some teachers still want to continue, in the same way, because it's the way we are working, and we have been working through many years. Training and research. I was here taking 2 diplomados, and they were great. It was in 2009, and they were perfect. And I think that those kind of activities should be developed with us, with each section. Example, with primary teachers and secondary teachers too. Okay? The 4th part is about how to change from traditional methods to student-centered strategies and student-centered activities. And I think that it's the best and the biggest challenge we have today as teachers, because of our culture or our students. Some of them are just responsible and they know what to do, but most of them think that we are in charge of their process. So they say, "Me hiciste perder." So what's going on with you, Chris? Because they think that their process is because of us, and they are not taking into account that they are there because of themselves. Okay, and I think that according to what we learned there in Bogota, most of speakers said, okay, autonomy. So they can do what they have to do by themselves. Okay, we are there and we must lead the process, but we cannot do what they have to do. Okay, so that's why I think that it's really important to consider those aspects. And in our school we have fellows, and we are now trying to live the language. What I want to say? What I mean is, when you have the opportunity to understand the language as a means of communication, everything changes. Because it's not about grammar, or it's not how you can build a sentence. No, it's how can you get in touch, how how can you communicate with others. And we are living that in our school with fellows. We have 4 fellows and they don't speak Spanish. So our students have to use the language. Even with a simple word, even with a movement, a gesture or something, but they have to use the language. And I think that with that demanding, they can understand that language is not for rules, but for communication. And another important part is collaborative learning. We were taking an activity with Rosalba Cárdenas, and it was based on how to use task-based, project-based, and in our classes. And it's related to what I have said today, how to develop student-centered strategies. And at the beginning, it could be strange because, the number of students and the activities we have developed, but it's really, really, really nice, and it's better for students because they work and they can adapt and they can give a responsibility for each person, and each person is in charge of an activity in that process. In that way, the students can take advantage of their strengths and they can develop another skills. Okay? And the way we have thought this is how to accept diversity and how to get along with others. Because we are facing some difficulties in our schools, and some of them don't know how to speak. They don't know how to communicate. So the way they can do that is just arguing or fighting and being rude. And that's why we said that according to this whole process, we can improve and we can have better classes in terms of knowledge, relationships, and classroom environment. It's also helpful because of the size of our classes. Example, large classes, for example, 48 students, 2 groups in one classroom. 48 students means 2 groups in one classroom. So it could be collaborative learning, and collaborative strategies could be helpful for us. And it's also helpful and useful for our teaching practices, and we can share what we have done and we can share what we have learned. For example, today we have learned an amazing way to work with ICT because Cecilia is doing that and she has taught us about this process. Okay, conclusions. We know that we could have better conditions in our classrooms, and we also can share learning, but the most important point is that we are there and we can make differences and we can change the way we are doing. For example, with primary teachers, I really admire them because they are working and they are doing wonderful activities with students. So it's just to take the opportunity and make our decisions and continue with our process. And asking and thank you for Universidad del Valle, because we know that you are the best and you are always here for us. And I know and we're sure that we're going to continue and we are going to develop different strategies for our schools in our context too. And at the end, we hope that you invite us to the next Congress. Could be in San Andres or Cartagena, I don't know. Or you can invite us to an immersion in USA, example. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
To you.
I just want you to let you know that you were chosen because because of the efforts you've been doing in your classes. Yeah. So the Secretaría is trying to take into account all those efforts and to, I don't know how to say, but like to thank you through these different experiences that you are nominated sometimes.
Thank you.
So please encourage your partners to also do similar things, to participate in this class of events, and to write in our bulletin, to come and present in experiencias significativas, or to participate in the talent show or the different courses that are available for you, because that's the only way that you get to show yourself to Secretaría, and therefore they will take you into account to participate in other events